Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a little trip right inside your own brain. Why? Because there's a hidden war going on in there that decides how you feel, how you think, basically your entire day. It's the battle for sleep, and you might be losing it without even realizing.
So, let me ask you this. How much sleep did you get last night? 6 hours? Maybe 7? A lot of us run on that and think, hey, I'm doing just fine. But what if fine isn't just a little less than great? What if it's actually damaging?
All right, let's dig into the real cost of cutting corners on sleep. There's this incredible study that really pulls back the curtain on what's happening. It exposes this silent epidemic that's affecting millions of us, chronic partial sleep deprivation. And the results? Honestly, they're kind of terrifying. Researchers took a group of people and had them sleep just 6 hours a night. After only 10 days, their cognitive performance had crashed. How badly? It was the same level as someone who had been kept awake for 2 full days, 48 hours straight. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. 6 hours of sleep for 10 days is as bad as not sleeping at all for 2.
So here's the big takeaway. That sleep debt you're building up, even just losing an hour or two here and there, it's real and it's cumulative. Your brain doesn't just get used to it. In fact, it gets progressively worse. To really get why this happens, we need to understand the two powerful systems that are basically the puppet masters of your sleep.
Okay, so there are two main forces pulling the strings when it comes to your sleep. Let's start with the first one, which you've probably heard of. It's your body's internal master clock.
This is your circadian rhythm. Think of it like a 24-hour schedule that's hardwired into you. It's constantly telling your body when it's time to be awake and alert and when it's time to power down and rest. And what's the most powerful signal for this master clock? It's not the alarm on your phone, it's light.
Right, so getting that bright sunlight in the morning basically sets the timer for your whole day. And then, as it gets dark, your body gets the signal to release melatonin, which is the get ready for sleep hormone. This whole system is ancient, it's baked right into our DNA. But our modern world, with all its bright lights and screens at night, it's throwing a massive wrench into the gears. And believe it or not, that's only half the story.
Now let's talk about the second major player here, something called sleep pressure. You know that feeling that builds and builds all day long, where by 10 p.m. you're just dying to get your head on a pillow? That's sleep pressure.
It's all thanks to a chemical in your brain called adenosine. The best way to think about it is like a pressure valve. From the second you wake up, adenosine starts slowly, steadily building up in your brain. And the more you have, the higher the pressure gets and the sleepier you feel. So you go through your day, adenosine builds up, and then when you finally get a good night's sleep, your brain does this amazing cleanup job. It flushes out all that adenosine, resetting the pressure back to zero. That's why you wake up feeling refreshed. Now these two systems, the master clock and the sleep pressure, they're supposed to work together in this perfect, beautiful harmony. But there's a villain in our story, one that most of us invite in every single day, and it throws the whole thing into chaos.
All right, let's talk about the world's favorite drug, caffeine. Yep, that's our villain. We think of it as our friend, our morning pick-me-up, but it's actually a master of deception.
So, how does caffeine really work? I mean, most of us would say it gives us energy, right? But that's not what's happening at all. The truth is way, way sneakier.
Okay, get this. Caffeine does not create energy. It's a total fraud. What it actually does is hijack your brain. It's an adenosine blocker. It literally just mutes the signal from your brain that's telling you you're tired.
See, the caffeine molecule is like a perfect key that fits into the adenosine locks or receptors in your brain. It slides in there and just blocks the real adenosine from getting through. So it's like putting on a pair of noise-canceling headphones when your body is screaming at you that it's exhausted. You can't hear the message, but the sleep pressure? Oh, it's still building up in the background. And what's really wild is how long those chemical headphones stay on.
Okay, brace yourself. The average half-life of caffeine is 5 to 7 hours. What does that mean? It means it takes your body 5 to 7 hours to clear just half of the caffeine you drink. Think about that.
And this really puts it into perspective. Let's say you have a cup of coffee at 1 in the afternoon. A totally normal thing to do, right? Well, by 7 p.m., half of that caffeine is still sloshing around your system. And by 1 a.m., when you're trying to get some deep, restorative sleep, a full quarter of it is still in your brain, actively blocking your sleep signals. It's a disaster for sleep quality.
And if you want a really stark visual of how disruptive this is, check this out. NASA did this famous experiment where they gave spiders caffeine. A normal spider web is this beautiful, intricate, perfect thing. But a spider on caffeine? It's a complete mess. A chaotic, disjointed disaster. They can't even perform their most basic, hardwired instinct. So it really makes you stop and think. What's it doing to the complex, intricate work our brains are supposed to be doing every single night?
Okay, so we've met the systems. We've unmasked the great deceiver, caffeine. The big question is, how do we fight back? How do we reclaim our sleep? The good news is, it's actually way simpler than you might think.
First up, we need to get your master clock back on track. Your job is to give it really clear signals. That means getting at least 10 minutes of morning sunlight, which kickstarts the whole system. Sticking to a consistent wake-up and sleep time, even on weekends, is huge. And then, a couple of hours before bed, you've got to dim the lights and get off those screens. It's all about light and dark.
And second, we have to protect that natural sleep pressure. We want it to build up all day long without anything getting in the way. The number one rule: avoid caffeine within, say, 12 hours of your bedtime. Honestly, a good rule of thumb is just to have your last cut before 10 a.m. And watch out for long naps in the afternoon. They can release that pressure too early and make it harder to fall asleep later.
So let's just recap the big ideas here. First, sleep debt is real, and it adds up night after night. Second, your sleep is run by two main systems, that internal clock and the building sleep pressure. Third, and this is a big one, caffeine doesn't give you energy, it just hides your sleepiness. And finally, your most powerful weapons in this fight are a consistent schedule and being really smart about when you get light and when you're in the dark.
Look, the journey to better sleep doesn't require some massive, life-altering overhaul. It just starts with understanding the science and making one small, smart choice. So what's one thing you'll change tonight to make for a better tomorrow? Your investment in a better rested you starts right now.